Sci-fi is one of the biggest staples in all of gaming, and today we're going to go over the top 20 sci-fi games on Xbox Series X. But first up, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and share, it really helps the channel out. So science fiction is my favourite genre, and I think it only felt fitting to talk about what exactly is the top 20 sci-fi games on Xbox, especially since there's actually a few hundred. So narrowing it down to 20 took a while, but we have 4 generations of games to go through, and well, it took a long time to put together. I'm going to show a little bit of each game and talk about each one afterwards. There's not going to be any spoilers throughout this video whatsoever, so it's a long video, please enjoy.
Mr. Yu, please make yourself comfortable and we'll be on our way. TranStar facility is just a short hop. 78 degrees, clear skies all the way. That's a nice view on the bay there.
For number 20, we have Prey 2017, set in an alternate timeline when the Soviet Union had once found an alien organism. Now, without going into story details or any spoilers, the game takes place on a space station. And I have to say, the space station in this game has to be one of the most detailed, thought out areas in any game I've ever played. It really feels like you're on board this futuristic space station. Now, if you're new to immersive sims, you can like this game. If you like horror sci-fi, you're really going to love this game. But the space station is the main character of this game, and it's fantastic, so well thought out. You could be walking down a corridor in this and see a cup on a table, and the next minute it transforms and attacks you, because one of the enemies in this game can transform into anything in the environment. The action, the horror, everything is excellent in this game, including its soundtrack. For number 19, we have Crysis 2. The battle has made its way to the urban jungle, and well, what a good game this is. Honestly, it takes everything that worked in the original and expands on it and makes it better. So even though in the first you had this kind of pretty open island, in this game areas are sectioned off, but you're still provided many different opportunities to play the game how you want. So do you want to go full action with the armor ability and take everyone out guns blazing? You can do that, you really can. Or do you want to go in stealth with the cloaking device and a suppressor and take everyone out that way? You can do that as well. But the gameplay in this is key. It's far superior to the original, it really is. From using powers just walking around to gunplay, it's just better. There's even a hot swap menu for attachments, which you can switch around on the fly whenever you want, which other games have taken inspiration from since. Games like Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, Homefront, The Revolution, and next up, Battlefield 2042. All use this hot swap menu, but it just works, it's really good. The gameplay in this is fantastic. You have action set piece moments, there's vehicle segments, there's boss battles, It's just good. It's everything you want from a first-person shooter campaign that provides you options. And this is one of the first games to introduce the slide mechanic after sprinting. So the gameplay in this is just solid throughout. And I still think it's one of those first-person shooter campaigns you have to play. If you're a sci-fi fan especially, this just oozes sci-fi. The story, I won't go into detail, but if you like fighting aliens, you're going to like this. I highly recommend it.
They are rage, brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear, until it is done.
For number 18, we have Doom 2016. id Software came out of the gate and surprised everyone with this game because it's so good. And the thing about this game is that they took what worked in the 90s, brought it all the way to 2016, made it modern, and it just works. The strafe combat, everything about it works. So the demon design across the board will look familiar, but new and fresh. Honestly, some of the best demon designs I've ever seen in video games. The soundtrack. This has one of the best video game soundtracks of all time. The metal will keep you on the edge of your seat in combat. It's some of the best. And let's talk about visuals. So the atmosphere in this game is incredible. If you're on Mars or in Hell, you feel it. It genuinely feels like you're there. And the visuals in general are gorgeous. Like, they really are. Like, what they did in 2016 with this game, the visual design, gorgeous. And as a sci-fi game, it's one of the best ever. So for combat, enemy design, soundtrack, gameplay and visuals, across the board, fantastic. People have to play it. They brought Doom into the modern age and made it awesome. And I highly recommend it.
A heat source is coming up from within the substructure.
Need a bit more intel than that.
Data analysis complete. It's highly probable we're looking at the Russian KNRB-0 Argus robot that's been at the center of the arms control plate.
Oh, shit! I think I'm gonna need a bigger gun.
It's a monocoque design. They sacrificed armor for payload capacity, so the outer shell should have some strength issues.
Rather go all out than bother with defense. Time to hit hard and make him regret it.
At number 17 we have Vanquish. Now this Sega game is over the top. It's a third-person shooter, and it's unlike anything else because you slide around into combat, which is unusual, but it just works. You play as DARPA agent Sam Gideon, and you are tasked to save the world, basically, and along the way it's filled with action set pieces, bullet time movement, and it's just a fun game overall. We don't see games like this now. So if you have the original version, it's now backwards compatible. It's also got a 60 frames per second remaster. I highly recommend it. Like, if you want a sci-fi action game, this is a must play, and there's nothing else like it to this day. And the funny thing is about the slow motion combat in this game, it's just ridiculously fun. You just want to keep going back to it, and that's the thing about these games. They're just really, really fun. At number 16 we have Star Wars Squadrons. And what can I say? This game really surprised me. It has a campaign and a multiplayer mode and absolutely zero microtransactions, which surprised a lot of people. But this game really makes you feel like a starfighter pilot. You can cut engines at full speed, spin around and go back into full throttle, and you feel like you're pulling off maneuvers what you see in the movies and even in things like Battlestar Galactica, which is really cool. Now, if you've been playing Star Wars games for decades, you'll notice that Star Destroyers were never to scale. A lot of ships weren't. You know, technical limitations at the time made that they had to cut back on things. But in this game, Star Destroyers are to scale. They are absolutely massive. Mining facilities on asteroids are huge. Really, it's really impressive what they're doing in this game when it comes to scale. It also has a two-part campaign. So half of the campaign is played through the eyes of the Republic, or Rebels, and the other half is from the Empire. And it's just kind of refreshing. But as a sci-fi game, it's fantastic. It's fun from start to finish. It's kind of like a first-person Star Wars Rogue Squadron, but with modern tech, and it just works. You know, the soundtrack has that classical Star Wars score that you're used to, but the gameplay is top-notch. The UI is built into the hood, and the cool thing about this game is you can customize everything. I highly recommend it.
Mr. Freeman, rise and shine. Not that I wish to imply you have been sleeping on the job. No one is more deserving of a rest, and all the effort in the world would have gone to waste until... well, let's just say your hour has come again. The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
I didn't see you get on.
For number 15, we have the Orange Box, which is a collection of games. So you have Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. You also have Portal and Team Fortress 2. It's a collection of games that's a must for sci-fi fans, but let's start with the main course, Half-Life 2. This is one of the definitive first-person shooter campaigns ever made. It really is. It's fantastic to this day. There's lots of environmental puzzles which require physics-based elements, so you can destroy planks of wood to get through doors, destroy certain barrels to get through certain areas. There's vehicle sections, there's kind of set-piece moments, there's big boss fights, and all in all, it's just a fantastic game. Really, this came out years ago and it still plays good. And the thing is about this story is that, you know, it's pretty legendary for what people want next, but as a package, those games, fantastic. And next up, let's talk about Portal. This is one of the definitive puzzle games because it's just so good. You put into these challenge rooms one after another using a portal gun to get through from one end to the other, and it's fantastic. The game has humour. You talk to GLaDOS throughout the entire game, which is this sentient AI, but it's just good. It's really good. Like, the puzzles in this game can really confuse you, but some of them are so simple they kind of trick you into thinking they're more confusing than they are. But all in all, great game. Really great game. And again, the Orange Box as a package is a must for sci-fi fans. have Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. Now you can tell that BioWare had a lot of leeway with what they could do in this game, because it's set thousands of years before the events of Episode 1. But it feels important. It feels that the story matters. The story takes you places with the twists and turns that are as good as what you see in the movies. It's just so good. One of the best Star Wars stories ever written. And the characters are memorable, they're funny, they have heart, and they matter. You take your ship, the Ebon Hawk, from planet to planet, doing these interesting quests. And honestly, as a Star Wars story, it's one of the finest. And I think more people need to play it, even in 2021. It's just so good. It's so good. One of the best Star Wars games ever made.
Is he alive?
Isaac Clarke. I'm going to show you some images, and I want you to tell me about them.
It was just a short, but there were things in my head. So much shit in my head. What did the symbols whisper?
Where are you going? It's not over between us. You can't be with me forever.
At number 13 we have Dead Space 2. Isaac Clarke returns, and now he's in a situation worse than what he was put in the first game, and that is saying a lot. Now this game does everything the first one did, but way better. The horror is super intense, the action is over the top, the controls are more refined, but even though it has way better action, the horror is still great, so it does things across the board really well. So you have intense horror where you're walking down a corridor and there's shadows and there's creepy sounds coming from all over the place, but there's also massive action set pieces, something you didn't really see in the first game. There's also zero-G segments in this, which are far superior to the first game, making the exploration in zero-G actually fun, and it's a must-play still in 2021. For number 12, we have Fallout 3. You are sent out into the unknown, into the post-apocalyptic wasteland that is Washington, D.C., to look for your father. And along the way, it's nothing but mayhem and chaos. And honestly, it's one of the best open world games ever made, and as a sci-fi game, it's just fantastic. The setting works so well. And the thing is about this game, is that it's the side quests that's the bulk of the content, and the side quests are so well written, you'll just spend hours after hours just doing side quests, and there's so many of them, and they're so good. There's huge choices in this game that will literally affect the map itself, and there's expansions in this game that will take you to places you don't even know. And frankly, again, if you're looking for sci-fi in an open world setting, you can't get much better than this. The post-apocalyptic wasteland is made so well in this game. It feels alive and dangerous and unknown, and it's a must-play. Again, excellent sci-fi game.
Aegis guns are working overtime today, huh, Admiral? A lot of Allied traffic. Always vigilant, Lieutenant.
You familiar with the air intercept systems, Ethan?
Earth's Iron Shield. Major firepower.
Vengeance, this is Raven 6. We're on final approach.
Copy 6. Vengeance is awaiting your arrival. Admiral, sir.
What is it, Ethan?
The Aegis guns. They appear to be tracking our fleet.
fight at the Aegis control tower. Say again, shots fired. This is not a drill. Divert and deploy all available assets immediately. Right to impact! Hold on!
For number 11, I had to go with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the campaign. And I'll admit, I went into this not expecting to like it that much, and I walked away loving it. Like, this campaign is stellar, pun intended. And the thing is, you'd think that traditional Call of Duty gameplay would not work in space. It does, somehow. But they also transition that to the Starfighter gameplay as well. And it works somehow, and it's good. It's really good, and that's the best part about this game. It's almost as if Call of Duty had a baby with Battlestar Galactica. And that's this. And outside of the big grandiose set pieces that use starships and things I won't mention, the cool thing about this game, it has an open mission format. So in between main missions, you can walk around your ship and, you know, test out certain weapons and stuff, but you can also pick which missions you want to do in what order. And 1 minute you could be doing a side quest where you have to go on board a carrier and disable its engines, and then in the main mission you may have to go aboard a destroyer using stealth in Zero G. And it's so cool. Like, it's one of the most cool sci-fi campaigns I've ever played, because they take what works in Call of Duty, which is just over the topness, if that's a word, and it just works in sci-fi. And you can tell that the developers had a lot of fun with it, because Call of Duty games, let's face it, they may be fun to play through, but they're very formulaic and repetitive. Well, with this, they do a lot of original stuff, and I have to commend them for that. Again, if you're looking for a sci-fi first-person shooter campaign, this is definitely a must-play, especially for sci-fi fans too. Absolutely fantastic, go have fun with it.
Looks like your girlfriend held up her end of the bargain, Quill.
We know for sure it's her.
Checking. Same designation as before. It's definitely Hallis Hope.
Doing to my ship?
Relax. Standard Nova Corps procedure. My ship's fine.
Which part?
Ask Quill. He's the one who keeps crashing it.
At number 10, we have a game that's left a huge impression on me, and that's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy by Eidos Montreal. I was blown away by this game, because I went into this with high expectations, and it somehow exceeded it. It really did. And that's every aspect. So if you like Tomb Raider, you're going to love this. If you like Mass Effect, you're going to love this. It has elements of both of those genres, yet still feels unique. It really does. The combat in this game is unlike anything I've ever played. It's third-person combat, but you use the other Guardians as abilities in combination with your own moves, so you can pull off combos, which is actually really cool. And you do things in this game that you didn't even think you'd be able to do, which is one of the coolest things about this. The storytelling is amazing. If you love sci-fi and things like Mass Effect, you're going to feel at home with the storytelling. There's some of the stories in this game that really surprise me with how good they are. The writing is amazing. And when it comes to sci-fi, this has everything you want. Futuristic weapons and spaceships. It's got that. Unique alien races. You'll see things in this game you'll be like looking at sideways thinking, how did they do that? This game is really surprising. And this will be the most recent release that's on this list. But it's so good, it deserves to be so high. It really does. Like, what they've done with this game is they've created an interesting universe that I want to see more of, which I can't see every day. So it has combat, it has dialogue options, which is really cool. The Milano, your ship, which you use in between chapters, is really cool. It has personality. It feels like they've gone into detail like they did with the Normandy and Mass Effect, and it has space combat, which is very arcadey, but it suits its purpose, and it's just so good. Honestly, I could talk about this game all day, and it deserves to be this high up on the list. It really is. It's a definitive must-play sci-fi action-adventure game. So good. Every aspect, great. Even the thing I expected to like least about this game, which was the characters, I end up liking the most. They are so well written. So as a sci-fi game, it's an essential purchase. At number 9 we have Alien: Isolation. Set 15 years after the events of the original film, you play as Amanda Ripley, and without going into too much detail, you go to the space station and not everything is as it seems. There's some mischief along the way and some mysteries, and it's one of the scariest games I've ever played. This is one of the finest horror experiences out there. The presentation of the game is super clean and crisp, and also the aesthetics of the game. If you're a fan of the original film and like that aesthetic, they nailed it with this game. The soundtrack is perfect. The sound effects is absolutely nailed. If you're a long-time fan of the franchise, you're going to adore this game. And even if you're not a fan of the franchise, you're still going to like this. It's a really, really good horror game. And even the AI behind the Xenomorph is unlike anything I've ever seen in any other game. It's smart, and it can outsmart you. And even though it's a very scary game, it's fun in the process, because trying to tackle the alien and get past it and, distract it is half the experience, and it's a lot of fun. And it's a must-play sci-fi game, especially if you're into aliens.
Go, go! Where's Carmine?
I got your back, Sarge!
Get your ass in here, now! Rookie, this ain't the big game yet! Save your ass for the payoffs! We're in!
I'm okay, Sarge. I can't believe we made it.
Carmine!
At number 8 we have Gears of War 2. One moment, you're searching through hidden labs up in the mountains, and then the next moment, you're trying to saw yourself out of a giant city-sinking worm. Now, you don't really get much more sci-fi than that now, do you? Honestly, from start to finish, this game has a lot to offer. But when it comes to sci-fi, the whole series is fantastic, but this game stands at the top for me. And it has action set-piece moments, it has drama, it has action, you have these huge characters doing these over-the-top things in this rich sci-fi universe, which is just all about action, and it's fun from start to finish. And honestly, if you're looking for a fun game, this is one of the most fun campaigns you can have, really. Honestly, I love this game. More people need to play it. And yeah, play this sci-fi game. It's just so awesome.
Looks to be your lucky day, my friend.
Not likely, bootlickers.
Initiate skip jump.
At number 7 we have The Outer Worlds by Obsidian. Now, this game is hilarious. They've proven in the past that they can do humour in an RPG, and they continue that here, and it's hilarious at times. And the thing is, this game is set in an alternate future, hundreds of years from now, in the far-off star system Halcyon. It combines the best of both worlds of a Fallout game and Mass Effect. You're having the first-person and conversation system of a Fallout, and you're having the party system of a Mass Effect, and it works so well here. And if you're familiar with Fallout especially, it's almost as if they took the framework of Fallout and how it plays, the structure of the missions and everything. It's almost they took Fallout and compressed it into its most purest form, and that's what you have here. You don't have huge open world maps. Each planet has its small contained map where it doesn't take too long to get across. There's multiple ways to finish quests, and like, even there's a mission early on in this game where I had no idea how to solve it, and it turns out all I had to do was get a key to a different door. Like, it's just having these different options provided to you to finish these quests, which makes these types of games really fun to go through. The soundtrack's good, the story's good, the writing is really good, and even the character building in the universe just is really well crafted. And we're going to see more of this universe in the future, but The Outer Worlds is a must-play RPG out there.
I don't even know whose side I'm on.
Breaking news. The riots continue in the streets of Detroit. Protesters rallying outside of Seraph Industries, one of the world's leaders in the controversial science of human augmentation.
These people, Adam, they're like ghosts. Always in the shadows. Always hiding behind lies. Proxy soldiers. I need you to find them. They cannot stop us. They cannot stop the future.
I never had a choice of what happened to me.
How do you feel, Adam? The body may heal. The mind is not always so resilient.
At number 6 we have Deus Ex: Human Revolution. Eidos Montreal came out the gate with a borderline masterpiece. This is not a 90+ hour game set in a huge open world with a million things to do. This is a densely packed RPG. There's 2 main hubs in the game. There's Detroit and there's Hengsha. Each hub contains side and main missions. Also, main characters that are really interesting to talk to. And the upgrading skill tree in this game is just done so well. The item management is kind of akin to the older Resident Evil games. When it comes to RPGs, this is one of the best. The cyberpunk atmosphere they capture in this game is something I've not seen in any game since, and this game is now 10 years old. That just goes to show how good this game is. And the thing is, the game, Deus Ex Human Revolution, it's all about corporations having more power than the government. That's the heart of cyberpunk. And there's a lot of political intrigue and all this espionage between businesses, and it's so well done. The stories they tell in the open areas, they use the areas to their advantage, so there's many different ways to finish quests. You can go in all action and risk a lot of your health, or you can go in stealth, or you can hack your way through to security and, turn the turrets against the enemies. It's just, there's so many different options with this RPG that to this day it's still one of the best. And again, the atmosphere in this game is one of the best sci-fi games ever made, and more people need to play this. This game, again, is backwards compatible on Xbox. It also has Auto HDR, which really brings out the high contrast colours in this game, because there's a lot of yellows and oranges. And yeah, this game is a borderline masterpiece. More people need to play it.
Jack!
Paul?
Jack, we gotta go.
Hold on.
At number 5 we have Quantum Break by Remedy. You play as Jack Joyce, and you're tasked to, well, save time from ending. Now, the time powers in this game are just fun to play around with, and a lot of people play this as a cover game. It's not that type of game. You literally just throw your powers in combat and just go to hell, and it's an awesome game. The soundtrack's incredible. The writing is great. And it has live action cutscenes where you make choices beforehand and the story can play out slightly differently. It's a fun experience, and we don't get games like this now. And frankly, this is one of the best sci-fi stories I've ever played in a game. And plus, the gameplay. I love the gameplay in this game. It's refreshing, it's clean, there's collectibles. It's a very rich universe told in one game. And hopefully we see more of this one day, because Quantum Break is ridiculously underrated.
And relentless. A pilot sees the world differently. Sheer walls become flanking routes. Pilots fight differently. Experienced in deception and maneuver, even overwhelming odds shift in their favor. But what truly separates the pilot from all the grunts and machines of the battlefield is the bond between a pilot and a Titan.
At number 4 we have Titanfall 2. The campaign is absolutely spectacular, and it's up there with things like Half-Life 2 in my opinion. It's so bloody good. It's a must play for sci-fi fans, it's a must play for FPS fans. The combat alone is some of the best, from sliding the ground to wall running, aiming at the same time, and then jumping towards your Titan where he catches you and you go into combat once more. It is so good. So good. The story in this game surprised me. This campaign will leave you speechless in parts. And frankly, I don't want to spoil any of it, but I'll just say this. The campaign goes places you don't even expect. There's collectibles along the way. It's a decent length, and honestly, the game is just pure action, sci-fi, and fun, and you can tell that the developers had a lot of fun with it. This is a must-play game all around. At number 3 we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You play as Cal Kestis in this action-adventure title set years after the events of Episode 3. Your character's been traumatized ever since the event of Order 66. The galaxy has mostly been purged of Jedi, and he's fighting for survival and to remember his past and his powers. And I have to say, this is one of the best games last generation. It's an action-adventure game. It's filled with fun moments. It has some of the best Star Wars writing in general. It's one of the best forms of Star Wars media in general. And literally, the writing in this game is as good as some of the films. And the funny thing about this game is that it encompasses what Star Wars is. Adventure. Fun. That's what this is. Yeah, there's intense moments with boss characters and story moments, but all in all, it's a fun adventure title. So you are going to get your dark side moments where there's ominous tones and stuff, but this game is good and it's fun. The boss battles are good, there's action set pieces in this game, and it's just fun. and you can make it as easy or as challenging as you want. It has a lot of, you know, setting features. It's just a good game, and I always talk about this game because this came out as a single player only game, and people had a lot of doubts about it, but it came out and it proved everyone wrong. It was the best game of the year it released, in my opinion, and more people need to play it. It's a must-play action-adventure game for everyone. And frankly, it's one of the best sci-fi games we've had in years.
What if you miss?
I won't.
At number 2 we have Halo, the Master Chief Collection. These games are just a joy to go through. I love these games. In the compilation you have Halo, Combat Evolved, 2, 3, ODST, Reach, and Halo 4. These are some of the best sci-fi games ever made. And as a fan of sci-fi games and FPS games, these are just so good. Running around as a super soldier in these sandbox environments doesn't get any better. You have tons of different vehicles and items to play with, and just many different options to tackle scenarios in the way you want. And it gives you this empowerment feeling of being a super soldier in this universe. And when it comes to sci-fi, Halo is pretty unique. In the rest of the medium, there isn't much like Halo, and that's what makes Halo so interesting. And the thing is, the universe just keeps expanding with books. We have a TV show coming out, and comics, and we will see more of this universe for decades to come. And yeah, these games, they are must play. And especially if you're a sci-fi fan, you have to get on it. These are some of the best games ever made when it comes to sci-fi games. At number 1, we have Mass Effect, Legendary Edition. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you may have thought this would be up top. However, it's actually up top for many reasons. This is a definitive sci-fi trilogy. It's up there with Star Wars. It really is. Each game offers its own style of RPG experience. The first game is heavy RPG focus, with open style sections for secondary planets. The second game is more linear focused, but heavy on the RPG side. And the third game, in A Galaxy at War, well, lots of action, but still has many RPG elements. So as a total package, it just works. It really does. Carrying over your choices from one game to the next just feels unique, and it works, even with small characters you'll see in the environment. But one of the best things about these games are the characters. The characters are so well written, so well designed, They are as memorable and recognizable as characters from Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate and Battlestar Galactica. They're just so well done. Quests feel like they matter. They don't actually feel like fetch quests. Nothing feels repetitive. The gameplay in these games are great, especially in Legendary Edition. They went in hard with the first game and just redid everything, and it plays really well now. You know, Mass Effect 2 is one of the best games ever made. And all three games are just great. And let's talk about the expansions that are also included in Legendary Edition. These are some of the best single player expansions ever made. You have Lair of the Shadow Broker, you have Arrival, Overlord, the list goes on, Leviathan. I could talk about these games all day, but when it comes to sci-fi games and sci-fi storytelling, you can't get any better than Mass Effect. You really can't. Amazing games that everyone needs to play, and especially with Legendary Edition, this trilogy is the most accessible it's ever been. Now that has been the longest project I've made to date. It's taken a long time to put together, especially since I've used all of my own gameplay and clips. Now, if everyone has really enjoyed it, please hit like, share and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications, you'll be notified for my next video. I have many new projects in development coming out soon, and when it comes to content like this, I have more planned. But when it comes to this topic, we will revisit it every year since there's new sci-fi games coming out all the time. And I can't wait to make more, and I can't wait to show what's next. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good day. I'm out. Peace.